Welcome to another episode of Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I am Mike Ricksecker, and with me as always is Vanessa Hogle. I hope everybody's having a good evening. I know there's a lot of people out here tonight wondering what in the world is going on. And so, we'll dive right into it because I know everybody is wondering. Our chat shenanigator, Shana, she's not in the chat room already, should be out there pretty soon, and she will keep you very entertained out there in the chat. We love our Shana, of course. So basically, here's what happened. Everybody's been kind of, wondering what happened with Ghost Adventures this past weekend. Everybody's been throwing me all kinds of support. It's just been a massive outpouring. So, I mean, there's so many people that I could thank was not asked for at all. You guys just threw it at me. So, really appreciate that. And so, for those of you that are, kind of new or don't know the whole story, and basically, this is kind of why we're talking about this tonight, is because there's so many people that were just asking me, okay, what's going on? And instead of typing it to everybody, we'll just talk about it right here. So back in November, I was contacted over Twitter by Jeff Belanger about the Stone Lion Inn, and if I would be interested in going out there to the Stone Lion and doing an episode of Ghost Adventures. And of course, I was very happy to. The Stone Lion Inn, for those of you that have been following me, you know that I always talk about it as my most favorite haunted house. That I call it the epitome of a haunted house. You walk up to it, you can just look at it and go, yeah, that's a haunted house. You go inside, floors are creaking, you hear footsteps all the time, doors are opening and closing. I constantly repeat this all the time on like any radio show I've ever been on or interview or what have you. And I've done a couple of videos here on YouTube, and that's how Jeff found me. And so, for those of you that don't know, I live out in Ohio. I am not in Oklahoma. I did live out in Oklahoma years ago when I wrote about it. I've covered the Stone Lion Inn in my book, Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma. We investigated that house a number of times. This was before the Society of the Haunted days. This is when we were OKPRI. And we ended up splitting off from OKPRI in 2011 and formed Society of the Haunted. But we investigated that place a number of times, and so boom, yeah, I'd love to go back out to the Stone Lion Inn. Favorite haunted house, sure. But I'm in Ohio, and so that was it's 18 hours one way. So it's a 36-hour round trip. Of course, it's big fuel cost, hotel cost, food cost. I had to get oil change because it's over 2,000 miles, and I was contracting at the time for work. So that means I was working hourly, which means I taking off work, I took a big loss in pay. But I was, willing to do it. It's like I said, my favorite haunted house. So I did all this. Everything seemed fine. The videos are out there about our experience there. Vanessa was there as well. She came for support of me. After after the filming night, which like I said, everything seemed to go pretty well, I was contacted 3 additional times after that for more information about the house, for some media. So I provided a couple of photos, and so everything seemed to be going pretty well. And then come showtime, I wasn't there. Now, I want to make this clear. I am not complaining about getting cut from the show. I completely understand the creative liberty that a show has. It's their show. They can do what they want with it. If they want to cut me out, fine. They cut me out. But the problem I have is that after making that massive trip and that financial sacrifice to go out there for that, somebody should have given a professional courtesy to at least tell me about it. To at least say, hey, really appreciate you coming out, but we decided to take the story in a different direction with this show, and so, sorry, you've been cut. It happens, It's part of show business, and I'm not out there to be on TV. I've been on TV a couple times before, so been there, done that. It's not what I'm seeking. I love the Stone Line Inn. My experience could help them tell their story. Awesome. But at that kind of sacrifice, please, by all means, give a professional courtesy to tell them. And so, really, I did not get humiliated over it. I was very disappointed, but doing something like that to somebody does set them up for that. And so that's why you would usually give that professional courtesy. A couple things I want to share before I'm going to reel Vanessa in, and I know that I see Shana now in the chat. We'll get to the chat here in a little bit. A couple of things I do want to share. This first one is from, and I can't use names. They've asked not for names to be used, and I completely understand because of different connections and what have you. But it is a message I received from somebody who owns a pretty well-known paranormal location that shows have been done at. And they were talking on the phone the other day with somebody who's been on the shows for many, many years. And he just said that I'm really surprised they didn't pass that on to you, that I was getting cut. I was talking to, can't say the name, on the phone just a bit ago, and mentioned that I thought that was what happened, that I'd gotten cut, because he didn't understand the whole situation. This person said that they would always make sure to tell people well in advance, and if they had to do something like that during editing, and felt awful for me. So, that's just somebody who's been involved in other shows, quite a few of them, that their perspective on that, and been doing it for many years. So the other thing I wanted to share is the email that I sent the executive producer, or not the executive producer Zach, the associate producer, one of them, I guess, Ian Jacobs, who I had been in contact with a couple times after the show. He was looking for a photograph that I had talked about, the white wisp that I've caught there, and for the newspaper clipping that they did actually show during the show of the Houghton family from the mid 19-teens. So this is the letter that I sent. Dear Mr. Jacobs, while I appreciated the opportunity to film with Ghost Adventures at the Stone Lion Inn back in November to share my experiences there, I was extremely disappointed that I wasn't informed that my part had been completely cut out of the episode. While I understand that the producers of Ghost Adventures naturally have full creative liberty over their show, it would have been simple professional courtesy to inform me that my contribution was going to be eliminated, especially considering the expense and how far I had to travel to get there at the show's request. Keep that in mind. They've requested me to be on the show. I didn't hound them to get on it. I didn't even know they were filming at the Stone Lion Inn. It was just out of the blue message from Jeff in my Twitter inbox. While one of your crew, people have asked about money, while one of your crew was kind enough to float me $200 under the table for my expenses, that did happen, and that did nearly cover the $218 that it cost me in gas, it certainly didn't cover the additional $40 oil change for the 2,000-mile round trip the $204 in hotel expenses, nor even come close to the $990 in lost pay, since I was contracting at the time and had to take off from work in Ohio for the midweek interview in Oklahoma. Yeah, this was not over a weekend. It's middle of the week. Becky does her murder mystery dinner theaters over the weekend, so it has to be midweek. However, even at that loss, I would not be upset if someone had issued to me a simple professional courtesy that the show had taken a different creative direction with the story. Understand, there were 3 follow-ups with me regarding the Stone Lion Inn. One from a crew member on hand for the investigation the night following my interview, and twice by you looking for additional media, one of which was actually used, the 1916 newspaper clipping of the Houghton family. The other being the photo of the white wisp I captured near the bureau in the entrance hall. Thus, I was under full impression that some part of my interview was going to be used. No one had informed me otherwise. Friends and colleagues coordinated a viewing party for me, and scores of the thousands I'm connected with in the paranormal community that don't usually watch Ghost Adventures decided to tune in simply because I was supposed to have a quick spot. They have now all been completely alienated from the show. There are even some that had been fans of the show that were happy I was going to have a small part in it and have now sworn off Ghost Adventures because of their disappointment. It's true. This disappointment, of course, could have been alleviated by a little professionalism. There's still a final gasp. I did shoot for the moon here, of course. There's still a final gasp for some sort of professionalism in this matter, and that could be in some form of additional compensation for the expenses and loss in pay that I incurred traveling out to Oklahoma at the show's request, and or a public apology. I implore you to make some right out of this wrong. Sincerely, Mike Ricksecker. And again, that was to associate producer Ian Jacobs. Of course, no response, and I don't expect one. So that very long-winded version is the story. That's essentially what happened. Is they just simply didn't tell me I was going to be cut, and of course, you guys have seen everything. And again, I do want to appreciate everybody's support that they've been throwing my way. It's been absolutely appreciated. I wasn't expecting all of it, and it's really humbling to me, what everybody's been saying. So, Vanessa, I'll open up to you because I've been rambling on here for quite a while.
Oh, yeah. I know y'all expect me to be a complete bitch because you know what? The night that it all happened, I was. And I don't take one single word of it back. Mike is absolutely right when it comes to the professional courtesy part. And I have an example for you. I'm going to give it to you here for those who aren't aware of how these shows work. Years ago, you've heard me talk about when I was asked to do a show for Animal Planet. And the episode was Leave Now or Die. And this was actually before Mike became part of OKPRI. I was brought out there to do investigations, and then when they were contacted by Animal Planet, I was asked to come out again because of my readings for that location. Put up in a nice hotel by Animal Planet. Food bought. They fed me, Animal Planet. Took care of us wonderfully. The person who ran OKPRI took my image out and used my reading. That is on that person and not on Animal Planet, because they took care of the people that they expected to travel to get out to this location. Now, I ask you, that show was in its infancy. It was nowhere near as well known at that point in time as Ghost Adventures is now. My question is, why the same courtesy wasn't applied to Mike? Now, this is what I want to ask y'all. There have been tweets out there, and although this person, I'm sure, had the best intentions because they're fans of this particular show, they asked why wasn't he just honored to be asked? This is my question to y'all, and this is what I want y'all to think about, every last one of you. Why is that and on, to be approached, invited, sought after, to come out to a place and then disregarded without even a decent level of compensation or acknowledgement. Why should anybody, Mike, myself, or any one of y'all in the chat room, just be honored to have your time taken that way without any acknowledgement at all?
Yeah, and I do want to thank all those that are in the chat room. There's a lot of people out there, and it's going by pretty fast. But and I want to thank you all. I'll show you guys here real quick, and if it'll pop up, and then pop up.
No.
Oh, there we go. There's everybody. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
That's why I have to. Vanessa doesn't ever see it, but that's the little chat
I don't
screen.
ever get to see it. But I really want to know that.
So, and you bring up a good point, because there has been a little bit of that. And that person out there on Twitter,
I'm sure
she was being very cordial about it, or as cordial as she could be. But you could tell she was definitely a fangirl. And she was using a lot of, it was like all about Zach, and he's very busy, and he's doing this and he's doing that, and it's like this isn't specifically about Zach. And I know a lot of people want to bash Zach because he is the executive producer of the show, so it's at some point it's his final say, and we don't know the way it went down. Really, I mean, they could have been in the middle of editing and decided that we're gonna nix the whole thing with Mike, and he could turn around and said, hey, somebody needs to tell him, and nobody did. We don't know because we weren't in the room. But nobody did is kind of the thing. And I do want to throw out there, there were some times, throughout the episode where, I was throwing some different tweets out there, and some of them, did have Zach tagged in it. I know Lynn's was out there tweeting and tagging Zach. One of them was specifically asking, when I was going to be on there, and it was during the part when they were showing Michelle, and I had responded back also again, keeping Zach in on the whole thing, just saying, well, Michelle was before my interview, so just wait. Yeah, and of course he didn't slip a little. Oh, hey, by the way, nothing like that after the show, because this is the way that I, had previously communicated on there. Aside from me and Jacobs, was through Twitter. I did, put out on there to Zach and Jeff, which I don't blame Jeff at all. He's not in the creative process at all, other than the research stuff at the beginning. Just, hey, wow, disappointed. But again, no response whatsoever. And it was a good, hour and a half until I did my little, Facebook, hey, disappointed in that. So nobody had ever said anything. Even when it was kind of obvious that, I was under the impression it was happening. And even leading up to the show, everybody was, posting, tweeting, Facebooking about it, whatever, about the show, tagging me and them in it. So I'm pretty sure at some point they knew.
Well, and let's address something here real quick, because I know there has also been a couple of people, I'm not going to name names, but know who you are, don't act like I don't, who have, implied, I'm going to use that, have implied, that you were just in it for, like we said earlier, the 15 minutes or whatever, or that, maybe we're just bitching about it right now, trying to get our 15 minutes. Little known fact, Mike can verify this, as can the owner of the Stone Lion Inn, while we were there. And again, I was only there for Mike, because I think we all know how I feel about those shows. I'm not a fan, don't even have regular TV, haven't for years, y'all know that, okay? I think most of them are crap. But I was asked by Becky, who owns the Stone Lion Inn, how I knew Mike. And we got to talking, and I told her that I had read for the place before, a couple of times, I think. And back before Mike was with the last group, and after. I want to say after, if I'm correct on that, Mike.
Yeah.
And she just got real excited and said, "Oh, let's tell them. They need to interview you." I turned it down.
Is it true?
I turned it down because I ain't about that. So
Yeah, Vanessa wasn't trying to get in there on the show or anything. So
no, not for love or money. Thank you very much.
No, and like I said, before, I've already been on a couple of shows. I've been on The Haunted. I've been on My Ghost Story. And those were both interesting experiences. And I got to see, like with My Ghost Story, how we'll get into it later. How paranormal shows will try to twist the story with the way that they were questioning me, and they were trying to get out of me something that wasn't my experience, but something that Logan Corelli had experienced, and I wasn't going to go there, and they were trying to get me to say it. I was nope. And so they ended up mixing that whole part, that whole section they were going to show. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's like that girl was trying to say something about time. About he's real busy, and he you don't know how much time goes into putting a 40-minute show, and it's like maybe I don't know the amount of time it takes to work on Ghost Adventures, and I don't know Zach's day. And Vanessa, you had actually sent me something earlier for a different reason about, I guess, Zach earlier in response to somebody today had said that I guess it was asking about his typical day, and he said he gets up and works out and goes for a walk and goes to the takes a walk through the location, and it's like, wow, I wish I had that kind of time. Because really, because I don't. I would love to be able to work out and get rid of some of this belly fat that I have that's driving me nuts. Because busy. And Shana in the chat room can attest to this. She's been trying to get me to get more sleep, and to me, it's like I can't. I'm doing all this stuff. 10 of the next 13 weekends, I'm traveling, have booked, have something going on. Okay, 10 of the next 13. I do 2 shows a week. This one and Enigma Underground Radio on Thursdays, and that one's a 2-hour show. Not to mention, I have to get everything ready for the shows after, even though they're automated. My weekdays, my weekday nights are completely like editing video. You guys know that I have a crap ton of videos, almost 300 out here now. And the amount of time it takes to edit those, about triple it at least for the length that they are, at least. And some of them are like, half hour, hour long. The ones that are tripled are like the shorter ones. The ones that are longer, 4 or 5 times as much. It takes so much work and effort to get those together. I'm an author. I'm a writer, so I got a lot of writing to do. I have to take care of the websites and all that stuff. You people that are connected to me, you see all the posts that I make on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. I have a publishing company, so I'm editing for people that submit to us. I'm also working on social media for them. Oh, and by the way, did I mention I have a full-time job? So I basically get up in the morning, go to work, come home, work on all that stuff. If I have a show that night, then I'm doing the show for the night, and then on the weekend I'm usually traveling somewhere. So I don't know where I have all this time to just spend 36 hours there and back. That's actually very, very valuable time to me.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm gonna toss my 2 cents in there.
Go for it.
Okay, my next day off, true story, is April 8th.
That's kind of like Shana. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my next day off from my job. I am also a commissioned artist, an author, a mother, and I do our show once a week. I've got an upcoming one with Maureen. I do another one for Spaced Out Radio, so I'm a little busy, And this brings up a very good point, Mike, because of what you do and what so many other teams out there do. I'm going to give a shout out to some people I know real quick who bust their butts out here in this field and don't get anywhere near the recognition they deserve, okay? I'm going to go ahead and go with Detroit Paranormal Expeditions. Guys rock, okay? Watch their videos on YouTube. Got Southern Ghost Society out of London. If y'all have never seen their stuff, I've read for them before. Amazing. If you want to see real paranormal evidence. NP Paranormal, you know I love them. They're my family. Everything's live. Everything's live when they investigate. Got Ectovision. Watch them. Watch real paranormal stuff, guys. Got Beyond Perception Investigators. My soul sister, Gwen Clapper. Got Scott Latia. I've got Lee Ehrlich. I have Lost Souls Investigations. All these people, Phillips Paranormal out of Ireland, that I deal with regularly. Done some readings for them. They get out there and they work. And, oh, by the way, most of these people got regular jobs too, y'all. These are the ones you should be watching. These are the people who are actually putting the time in and coming by it honestly. It's not based on the almighty dollar. They're doing this because they love it. Oh, Greg Graham, hey, brother. You're on here too, honey. Nikki, when she gets a chance to get out there and investigate, she rocks it, okay? That's what I'm saying. I understand that all of these shows have a fan following. I get that. And that's wonderful for entertainment purposes. But the only way we're going to make a change in the way this field is viewed and the way people are treated is if we start showing the respect to the people who are earning it. For the love of whatever deity you pray to, please try that. And of course, we got my buddy Mike here and Shana, and place they go. I ain't leaving y'all out. I ain't even giving myself credit. I want you to give it to these people.
Yeah.
The people who earn it.
Well, yeah, and that's definitely something that we try to do here is on Hunter Road Media is try to give everybody that shout out, those props, whatever. I mean, usually by now in the chat I've shouted out everybody's name. It's just there's a lot of people in chat right now. It's going by pretty quick, and I'm trying to actually work the show. So, but yeah, I mean, we try to involve everybody. It's a very concerted group effort. So, when Shana and I go out and do something together, we bring it back and we put the video together, and we're either talking about it or putting a video out on it, and then you guys provide all that additional feedback. It becomes a very collaborative effort between everybody, and so we're not trying to be one of those paranormal shows out there. We're doing something very different here. Still, related to the paranormal, but it's not paranormal entertainment. We're doing a ton of research and exploring. Really, a lot of experimentation. So, and those that have followed Hunter Road Media have seen how we'll go diving into the archives and the ancient records, and just the amount of work that we put into digging up that information and trying to find the original truth of specific locations, rather than just taking a couple of facts and running with it for an entertaining 45 minutes. So
and one thing we also do, and you know where I'm going with this, don't even have to tell you, is we stay true to the haunting. We stay true to the haunting. And that is unbelievably important. To me, it is so much more important that if you're going to be doing an investigation, that you stay true to the actual evidence that you're getting. Having been in that house personally, and y'all know how I roll, I ain't even bullshitting you. Having been in that house personally an hour before the investigation was done, yeah.
Oh, it's definitely a pretty happening house. It's
a pretty happening house, but it's I'd stay the night over there. How about that?
Oh,
Ryan,
definitely.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah. And
I wouldn't stay the night in the 360 cabin. I wouldn't. I refuse. That place scared the shit out of me. I'd spend the night in Stone Line Inn. Does that coincide with what anybody's seen?
Yeah. I mean, I do want to throw out there because it's been mentioned that in previous videos, we talked about having a good time out there, and we said it was a very positive thing. And really, yes, the time that we spend out there, was good. I know you got a chance to chat with Aaron for a little while. I had a few words with him. Seems like a very cool dude.
Oh, he's a great guy.
The crew was very nice. They had they were awesome. Now I spoke before about Zach. He was just he was being a director. He was running around doing a lot of stuff, and I said before he was very meticulous about what he was doing and the shots that he was trying to line up. So he was working. So the entire time there was great, and then talking with Becky and Michelle, awesome. It's my thing here was just, and what I had put out there originally was, I just believe there should have been some sort of professional courtesy.
There absolutely should have been, and I think we did some good with Michelle too.
Well, yeah, and that whole thing with Michelle, I knew you were going to get here. That whole thing with Michelle kind of bothered me, because we spent, and mostly you, Vanessa, had spent some time in the kitchen talking with Michelle before she went out there for an interview, trying to relax her about the house. And she's worked there for like 30 years. She's been, friends with Becky forever, has worked in the house, but has been afraid of it this whole time because of her early experiences with it. And, we put her at ease. She was feeling a lot better about it. She was, very hesitant about going in there. We talked to her. Vanessa really calmed her down, relaxed her. She was like, okay, I feel better about the house now. And she goes out there, goes through the interview, and then they have her listen to that EVP at the end, and it was just like, wow, it took the wind out of my sails. I mean, for one, I was shocked that kind of EVP was captured there at the Stone Lion Inn, because like I said, I've investigated it a number of times before. I've never, and from other people that have investigated there at the Stone Lion Inn that I've talked to before, they haven't had that kind of interaction there. I mean, we've had, sure, the drawer that was slammed shut, the picture that was dropped. I don't know if you want to say it was thrown to the stairs, but it basically fell straight down, boom, crashed on the stairs. So, okay, some sort of poltergeist activity, but it wasn't like thrown at us. No EVPs ever like that. It's just been a little girl, which we believe is Irene, and a man in a top hat, which wasn't mentioned at all in the Ghost Adventures episode. That's primarily been seen there.
Door, and the little girl Irene stays upstairs.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that he's probably Mr. Houghton, the guy that built the house, or maybe the mortician.
Yeah, because we had calmed Michelle down saying, they just they live here.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Sometimes they want to talk, sometimes they won't interact. It's okay. Because, I'm a barometer for negative activity. Trust me, quite a few people have seen it in action now. If it's there, it's going to come straight for me. That's a fact, because I can't shield that shit out for some reason. They've seen it. Ryan is one that just saw it. Nothing. Plenty of activity.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of activity at the house.
Absolutely nothing negative.
No, I don't believe there's anything negative there. The little girl, she would play with Becky's son in the closet on the third floor when they first moved into the house. So the guy in the top hat just kind of lurks around. I mean, he's seen, but I haven't heard any negative interactions with him. I haven't actually, had an experience with the man in the top hat. I've heard stories, but none of them have really been negative. Even the story that I tell about the wave of energy, passing through me in front of the fireplace, which I will say this, at the very, very beginning of the episode, when they're doing their introduction montage and showing a bunch of quick video clips, there is the one little hint that I was supposed to be on the show. There is a clip of them taking the camera into somebody in a trench coat standing by the fireplace. And so I was in a trench coat, my trench coat, that everybody knows, the night of the interview. So they apparently set up a recreation of me in front of the fireplace, and it was like that.
Because I go ahead and go on record as saying not another soul.
Right.
There.
But that wasn't, that energy passing through me wasn't a negative experience. It was just wave of energy and then gone. So it was like something blew into the room and blew out, and that was that. But I wouldn't call it negative.
No, no. I mean, yeah. Trust me, no.
You know, and you know, I will say this: when we had first talked about the interview months ago, I said that Zach had asked some good questions that I hadn't really been asked before in a lot of the radio interviews that I've been on, because I'm always asked, okay, what's your favorite haunted location? You know, Goldenrod is really up there now, but I always bring up the Stone Lion Inn because it is really my favorite haunted house, and so I've repeatedly told this story, and Zach asked a couple of questions that I hadn't been asked before, like really how the energy felt, and it was strong. I didn't feel oppressed. I didn't feel negative. I can't exactly remember what I said to him, but it was. I think I told him it was strong and heavy because it was. It was like boom, but not negative.
No, no, not even a little bit. But again, I also want to go back to something you said earlier, and I want to make this abundantly clear. Outside having cigarettes with the guys, again, Aaron, nothing but respect for the guy, totally nice guy. The, what do they call them, the gaffers or whatever it is.
Yeah, the crew.
Yeah.
You said the crew.
Yeah, the crew.
They all have different titles.
Yeah, great group of guys. It's just how this situation was handled. It was completely inappropriate, and I can't make that more clear.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, like I said, earlier, and it seems like more people have joined. It's not about being cut. That happens. It's part of a part of a show. They decide they want to take their story a different direction. They decide to spend a lot of time on Elmer McCurdy. That's the story they wanted to tell. It was just a fact of everything that I had put into going out there. The time sacrifice, the distance, the money that was involved in going out there from Ohio to Oklahoma in the middle of the week, and just not even getting any professional courtesy of just, hey, sorry, but you're not in. It's a 2-minute email, and I would have been like, oh, that's lousy, but
okay.
Yeah, okay. It's their show.
Yeah, and again, addressing, there will be people who say, well, that's the name of the game. That's the problem. That's the problem, is that if we forget that people are people just because they have a show, then that's almost as if it's saying it's okay to continue to treat people as if they're irrelevant or disposable.
Yeah, and like I shared at the very beginning, there's at least one person that I know of that is involved heavily with shows in the past for years, and that was on shows, that has basically said, that they would never have done that they would have let me know, and feels really bad for me. So it just. It's a real shame, because I really was looking forward to this Edge of the Rabbit Hole show being about, our experiences there at the house, and talking about how they interpreted our experiences there into the show. And instead, we're talking about this.
But ironically, I mean, it's nobody's experience that I'm aware of ever matches what was shown on the show.
Well, no, no, because even with the haunted, they took that, and I don't know why they did this. I still to this day do not know why they did this, because it was less powerful the way they edited it. I had picked up that die EVP when Taliesin got nailed in the gut when we were doing when Carl Johnson was doing the blessing of her in the master bedroom, because she had come in. And so it was like, that's a real powerful die, and then boom. And they instead took that die EVP out of there and put it as an EVP that we captured while we were first investigating the house. And we got all kinds of EVPs while we were investigating that house. So you could have used any number of them and then still use that die EVP when she got nailed in the gut. So I didn't understand that editing job with that one. So who knows why they do what they do. Even with this Ghost Adventures episode, the big focus on Elmer McCurdy. I mean, it's a very crazy, creepy, cool story about Elmer McCurdy. It's one that I cover in my Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma book, along with, of course, the Stone Lion Inn. I covered it on my my vlog that I did going to Guthrie, and even on my my Ghosts and Legends episode on Guthrie that I just released. Because it's a very cool, different, crazy story. But I guess what I didn't understand was trying to make that Elmer McCurdy was haunting the Stone Lion Inn. Because nobody has ever made that assertion whatsoever in the past. I mean, yes, there was the whole thing about, and it's really sad, about Becky for her murder mystery dinner theaters taking people out to the cemetery to tell that story, because it is a very, very cool, weird, crazy story. And then the town, hammering her for, talking about, worshiping the devil and all this stuff, which she doesn't. She's a very, very sweet lady. Absolutely wonderful lady. And she actually got them noticed. And it was actually her sister who came up with the moniker. But basically, the Guthrie is now known as the bed and breakfast capital of Oklahoma because of Becky. So even though they hammered her for it, she got the notoriety. But that's the connection. And they're doing their whole, trying to find Elmer at the Stone Lion. I don't know. That was maybe they're just trying to be different, something that nobody's done before, I guess, with the Stone Lion. I don't know.
That's the problem. Okay? And again, I'm harping on it because of these shows. I strongly encourage, because you're going to find it out there, people. Anytime you have any show, I don't give a shit whose it is. You have any show that goes to a location and they start talking about the haunting and apparently the F-bombs being thrown everywhere, and I ain't dead, so I ain't there saying it, because we know how I am, okay?
Yeah.
Anytime that happens, do me one favor. Go on YouTube and you Google, or not Google, but put it in there, put the location in there, and find any other teams who have investigated a location and watch them. Would you? Would you do that for me, please? Because you're more likely to get accurate evidence that way.
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Well, and I will say that they did find me apparently through YouTube, because Jeff did reference my Stone Lion video. So, and that was fine. That's perfectly fine. I didn't put the video out there to get noticed like that, but hey, it works for me.
Yeah. Matter of fact, go on Mike's YouTube and watch anything about the Stone Lion Inn that predates this particular filming.
Well, yeah, the Ghosts and Legends episode that I put out there, talked about my experiences there. It had the photographs, a couple of the photographs that I took there. It had a little bit of the audio. We were not running video that night. None of us at that time had a video camera, and we investigated that. The particular investigation that had a bunch of activity was back in 2010, and I mean, we investigated there before we left OKPRI, probably like 3 or 4 times, and the other times were pretty mild. There wasn't a whole lot going on. It was like that one investigation, and that's kind of what happens at a lot of locations is, and people who investigate on a regular basis know this, that you can investigate a place 5 times and get like nothing, and all of a sudden you have that one time that boom, and so this one happened to be that one time nobody was running video. So we have, some snapshots, and I had my audio that I was running, and I've kind of done, what I do is kind of like my Friday Night Ghost Nights thing, is where I'm telling the story, the photographs are interspersed. There's a history part of it at the beginning, and then there's, the audio clip of when the picture crashed to the stairs. So which apparently she's reframed because Lizzie Borden's back up on the wall.
She belongs. She
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. So, and then the Friday Night Ghost Frights on the Stone Line Inn is kind of like a light version of that. So, those are my couple on the Stone Line Inn. I've been thinking here, with all the questions that have come out about, okay, what happened there, at the Stone Line, my experiences, I could just like put out the whole audio. I mean, it was like, I don't know, like a 5 or 10 minute span between the time that we had the Dwarf Slam, the capture of the White Wisp, which we didn't know at the time. I didn't see the White Wisp until reviewing later on, and then when we decided to split up, and I'm going up the stairs, and then crash of the picture. So that was all a span of like 5 to 10 minutes. So I've thought about maybe just throwing out that whole thing, maybe just throwing some photos in there, and see what people think.
I think it's good.
Or even when the wave of energy went through me, that was kind of earlier in the night. I was just doing a basic sweep. So.
Yeah, I think you should. I have something else I want to ask you about when we get off this, because I don't want to stay on it. But yeah, I mean that was pretty much I think what we wanted to cover on all of this.
Yeah.
Really trying to point out to people that just because somebody has a TV show doesn't mean that they're any better than you. I gave a list of teams that have my full respect, and I think anybody who knows me knows I don't give that lightly. If I think you're a piece of shit, I'm pretty much going to call you out on it. We know, Mike. I don't sugarcoat.
Right.
Start viewing each other.
Well,
not to make stars out of each other, but if we're all in this for the right reasons, if we all actually want to better understand what is going on after we die. I mean, let's just be blunt about it. If we want to know what's going on in the afterlife, then something tells me we need to look for the actual evidence and not something that may or may not, legally covering myself there, be trumped up for ratings.
Well, okay, here's the difference of what we do. We are not going out there to try to get that one piece of evidence that's just going to wow everybody. And try to have well, look at me, I got this, whatever. I mean, it's very, very cool when we get that. It really is, of course. And as a paranormal investigator, you love it when you get a cool dark shadow in your picture, or maybe that white wisp that I got. They're rare. It's very, very cool when you get it, but that's not why we're out there. We're not out to trump ourselves up by collecting the best evidence. We're exploring. We are. The world has been explored. Pretty much for the most part. There's space, but here on Earth where we are at, the other place to explore is the other side. What is out there in the world that we can't see, and so a lot of what we're doing is trying to discover those answers and putting that together. With the history and the backgrounds of these locations that correlates, really does with, the spirits that are haunting there. And if there's, something we can discover about the way all of this works, between the different entities that are out there, because there's many. We've talked shadow people and all kinds of stuff on this show and what they really are. And some way that we can be a voice for those spirits. Maybe there's a message that they want to give. Maybe there's somebody that they want to connect with. We don't know. That's part of going out there. And I mean, Vanessa, you know this, and Shana knows this, because she does this too. When we go into a place, we introduce ourselves. We're just not barging in, just cameras away and making demands to slam stuff or hit me or whatever it is. No, we are introducing ourselves as we would going into anybody else's home if we actually saw them with our eyes. It's like, hi, I'm Mike. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a lovely home you have here. Whatever. We're being nice and cordial. We have manners. And that we've gotten a lot of great responses just by doing that. And over time, sometimes you don't get that right away. Sometimes you do. So it's really about exploring and discovering this relationship between our world and the world that we can't see. And something that I really admire from Shana, her line of questioning, a lot of times is, how is it that you see us? Because they may see us as a ghost. They may see us as some little apparition. They may not even see us. They may just hear us, sort of. We don't know. They may see, if like we're in the Goldenrod showboat, they may see the showboat as it was, back in 1909, or maybe 1949, or maybe 1989, at different points when it looked, because it changed its look throughout the years. So she's always asking, how do you see us? How do you see the boat? How, which I think is a very, very, intelligent line of questioning.
Well, there's also one other thing we don't do, and again, anyone who knows me knows exactly how I feel about this. Not once, not one time have I been to a haunted location where I have asked anyone to tell me where the hot spots are.
Well, yeah.
Not once. If it's haunted, I'm going to find it.
Yeah, you'll definitely find it. And with you, Vanessa,
you'll find me.
And I know you found out about this after, or maybe you knew during the time. But when we were about to make our split there, and kind of, we would kind of put the two of you against each other, and say, okay, you're both remote viewing, but she didn't know, you didn't know. What can you tell us about this location? And you always were like, well, if you go around the corner and over here, then this is there, and it's like, yep, she's got that right. Or even like the Bel Air house last year, it was like, yeah, you walk in the door and you're up the stairs and take a right, and it's down the hall, and it's like, yep. So,
because you don't have to.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing, granted, I understand sometimes, you'll have an interview or something with whoever owns the property, and they will tell you some of their experiences, but there won't be a walkthrough of the location with them pointing it out, as I have seen on episodes years ago. I'm looking directly at the camera because someone griped at me for not doing that on Twitter. Because apparently I look nervous. I ain't nervous, but anyway for saying that. But there's no walkthrough like I've seen on show. Tell me where everything happens so I can make a beeline to those locations. For anyone who doesn't know, okay, and I'm just going to clue y'all in real quick, and I'm not an expert, but experience has proven me right on this. Ghosts aren't stationary. They move. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
True story.
Hey, I've kind of been eyeing the chat here because we haven't gotten to any questions from the chat yet.
Awesome. Go to it.
So, and anybody can chime in, but I did notice one from Shana. And let me scroll back up here. She was asking about the EVP from Michelle. Does anyone know why Zach thought the EVP was from Michelle? And then somebody else had chimed in saying, oh shoot, where was it? Okay, yeah, Linda had said that she wasn't sure what the EVP was. Okay, in any case, the EVP was, Michelle was talking, and the EVP was fuck him, fuck her. And we're on the internet, so I can say fuck, unlike Zach couldn't on the air. So they bleeped it out. And he was making a very big deal about, I can't even, air this, and they went over a number of times, are you the one that said this, and all of that, which it was obvious she wasn't. And really, to me, that's just, it's a television show, it's entertainment, so they're trying to dramatize the whole thing, and they just did that over several minutes of repeatedly asking her, did you say this? You sure you didn't say that? All of that stuff. He's like, because I hear this, did you say that? And it was kind of like a back and forth for a little while. It's just to dramatize it.
So many times.
Yeah, and we were hearing that. We were in the kitchen. We heard all of that. So, and we did a good job. We kept our mouths shut about that, because that was spoiler material right there. That was in our other broadcasts of it, that's why we were saying, there's things that we haven't been able to talk about, and so one of the things was, that we would have loved to have talked about earlier, but we couldn't, was the EVPs when Michelle was up there with the recorder. So,
which, according to Twitter, and I mean, I don't need to repeat myself, but I will. I ain't seen the show, don't care to. Couldn't tell you how. Actually, I could probably tell you the last one I saw theirs, and it was years ago. But according to Twitter, that was aired. Just bleeped out. Because
that part was aired. They bleeped it out. They couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't put the F-bombs on Travel Channel. Yeah, they bleeped it.
So to sit there and say, I can't even put this on the air.
Well,
to me, that's another way of kind of drumming up a particular type of response.
He's dramatizing it. And the way that went down is, Michelle had done her interview. Just kind of give you a little behind the scenes. Michelle had done her interview, and again, she doesn't like the house, so she left. Billy went out to, I guess it was a van or something that they had, and he listened to the audio, and then they called her back. So she was a few minutes down the road. They called her back to review that with her. So it's kind of the way that all happened.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got any other. I'm sure there's some questions in here. There's a lot of chat. So, oh, okay. Something's going on with they're asking Shana stuff.
Because we're talking.
Well, yeah. All right. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we can really drum up about this. I mean, it was, like we said earlier, it wasn't about getting cut. It was just, the professional courtesy that should have been rendered. The actual filming went fine. It was a long drive out there, sure. It was a long drive back. Still, it's a great house.
Yeah.
So
it's a wonderful house.
Yeah, and I encourage anybody who has an opportunity to go out there. In fact, all of Guthrie is very haunted. You have the Black Jail is there. You have the Santa Fe Depot. You can visit Boot Hill. It's Summit Grove Cemetery. You can't get on into the Masonic Children's Home. You can rent it out as a event venue. They do weddings and stuff there. It's Dominion House is what they call it now. Bluebell Saloon. Very cool.
They won't let you investigate anymore.
They won't let you investigate by lunch there.
No. Jan and I went in. And they will not let you investigate anymore.
Across the street is the old Capital Publishing Company, which we almost got in there. Johnny was working on it, and then I moved, and Kathy moved, and it just didn't happen. But that one's also very haunted as well.
Yeah, and the Dominion House won't even talk to you.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked through it the first time I was ever out in Guthrie. They let me walk around a little bit, but
yeah, I think they've got a new owner, and I think that's part of it. Because I talked to the lady on the phone, and as soon as I even mentioned that I was an author and I wanted to put a story about it in my book, I know, right?
You probably don't like what I wrote about it.
She damn near hung up on me. But again, just as we're closing this up, the professional courtesy, we all know that travel is part of this. We all know that. I have made 2 trips out to Virginia to investigate with Beyond Perception investigators. I've made 1 trip out to England to investigate with NP Paranormal. And both times, sure, I mean, I might have had to get out there, but boy, they took care of where I was staying, food, everything. And these aren't TV shows, people. This is regular investigators who were basically saying, you know what, you took the time and the money to get out here to do this with us. We're going to take care of you.
Andrew Cox is asking, he's wondering how haunted the Marland Mansion is. That's south of Ponca City, up there by the 101 Ranch. What I can say about the Marland Mansion was the team that I was with at the time, we were doing the 101 Ranch, and there was a small set that went to the Marland Mansion while some of us went to go check out the dilapidated Miller House. And they came back saying there was some mild activity there. The ruins of the 101 Ranch is the basement of the Great White House, because that's really all that's left, does have some really interesting EMF activity down there. There's no power whatsoever at all around there, but there is some interesting activity down the basement of that. The Miller House, which is, you have to talk to the 101 Ranch Old Timers Association to get to those places, but you can't really go in the Miller House because it's basically condemned. The floor is mostly out. I kind of took a step in, and then you couldn't really go any farther. And that was another one where it was kind of like a wave of energy, kind of like got me off kilter. So that was about as far as we could go and walk around the grounds. So, but Marlin Mansion, mild activity.
Now, I actually haven't had the pleasure of going there yet. As y'all can see from the schedules that we were talking about earlier, I wish I had time for that. Yeah. My travel has to be scheduled months in advance, even something as simple as a couple of days to try to get somewhere. Yeah. So, as does Mike's.
Yeah, I'm headed out all over the place. I try to get Shana with me as much as I can. Usually that's Illinois stuff that we're doing together. I did get her out here to Ohio to do a little bit, so that was a nice treat. And we also stopped off in Indiana there for a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot of time to go out to these different places. Of course, we're investigating and researching and getting all the footage, and then it's a lot of time to put all of that stuff together, to bring for a presentation. So it's a lot of time. Not to mention, full-time jobs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of hard work, and again, in closing for me, because I can get long-winded, give the same attention to your local teams, to the people that you follow on Facebook and Twitter.
I do want to say something. I didn't see the comment from Lynn's, but I saw a comment from Shana that said, and now it just scrolled up. So if I can move up. We are on a 30-second delay, by the way. Shana says to Lynn's, Mike will just use this experience as fuel to the fire and motivation to keep him moving forward. Well, that is absolutely true. I posted the night that happened the song "Can't Bring Me Down," and this is not bringing me down. It is just fuel to the fire of everything that we're doing here with Haunted Road Media, and I kind of summed it up earlier about what it is that we're doing here, and it's just it is a big motivator to take what we are doing here, which is to me it's a group collaborative effort of going out to these places, investigating, researching, bringing the real stories to everybody, and then having everybody else have a conversation about those locations, and other people will throw bits and pieces at us that they have found and they have researched and have discovered about these locations, and we incorporate all that together. Something I love about the format of this show, and we didn't do it so much with this particular one, is the interaction with the chat room. You guys are having fantastic interaction down there. We just haven't been able to keep up with it on this particular show so much. But that has all been fantastic, and I feel like this has really been a community that has grown, and
exactly.
I really do appreciate everybody who has shown support. And I was trying to name off some names in my Mike's Morning Mug the other day, and there's just so many people. I cannot name everybody, and I don't want to miss anybody. It's just too many. But it was just, my social media was completely blowing up right after that and for the days following. And so I cannot express enough how thankful I am to everybody for showing that love. Like I said, I take it to heart. It's really humbling. And I thank you for everything that you've done and have shown.
Well, and I told you the night that it happened, because you and I talked on the phone, I said I think this is a blessing in disguise. And I'm going to stick with that judgment, because it's allowed us to open up the conversation to why stars, and I use that term very loosely, are revered for whatever reason, and the people that are actually getting out there and doing all that footwork and the hard work on their own dime and their own time don't get the same recognition. And I really want people to start doing that. And it opened up this conversation, and I love that. I'm sorry, but I love that. And
Yeah.
I really do believe it was a blessing in disguise.
Well, sure. I can always take a positive out of everything.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. A lot of the shows out there are just entertainment. I've always said that Ghost Adventures. I've always loved the first half of their show because they do get into the history and background and stories of these locations. And what I do with that, just to kind of clarify, I don't take what they're saying verbatim, like, well, that's what Ghost Adventure says, so that is, the history and what happens there. I do like that they cover that, because I think a lot of shows just do like 5 minutes of, well, this is a location, boom, we're investigating. I like that they detail the experiences and history. But I would just take that as kind of like a cue to, like, hey, that place sounds interesting. Let me go check out some more information about it. And so it spurs me to research those locations and find out, hey, maybe that's a place worth going to as well. So, that's kind of how I've taken that show over the years. So, I've always given them those props for that first half of the show. So, that's it.
I'm sorry.
That's it. Okay, and then what I would, because people have asked me in different interviews and whatnot, hey, what do you think of like the different shows out there? And so I've thrown that out there that, hey, that's what I think of the first half of Ghost Adventures. All the rest of it I think is like kind of goofy. The way they investigate, some of their reactions, and it's like, you can tell it's just over the top for entertainment purposes, and I'm not. Maybe they're getting something, maybe they're not. People debate that and go back and forth as to fake, real, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that because you can just tell the way that they are reacting to everything is for entertainment, and it sells, So and that's what it comes down to, with the networks. What is selling? I mean, we could sit here and we could bash a show all night, and we haven't really bashed the show, really.
No.
But we could, but it doesn't matter. It matters to the networks what is selling, what is making them money, and if it's all fake, and it's making money, they're going to put it out there. If it's all real and it's making money, they're going to put it out there. That's all the networks care about, is what is making them money, and Ghost Adventures is making them money. So that's what it comes down to. So that's network television for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand that. Yeah.
So notice how I stay quiet. I can't help it. I know, and I know we're after 9:30.
Yes, we are. So we got to wrap it up. Because we're a bit past. So again, I really want to thank everybody for the support. I know we didn't get to too much in the chat room like we usually do, but thank you everybody for coming out. I'll go through. I'll go ahead and give some shout outs real quick. I'll just start scrolling up. Donna Gorton, thank you very much. Donna's been a great supporter. Fran Molino, another one. Andrew Cox. Shana, of course. Zoe, good to see you out here again. Tammy, thank you very much. Paranormal Fan 11. I'm thinking I should know exactly who that is, but I'm going to put the name right now. Well, Beyond Perception, there's Gwen, Diane Hilbert. She posted her Ghosty in the Ghosty Facebook. Yeah, we got to show Ghosty, okay? Ghosty. See, he is the Honor Road Media mascot. He has his own page now on Facebook. Go check it out. It's Ghosty HRM. So facebook.com/Ghosty HRM. You can also find him out at haunterroadmedia.com and just click on shop and you can find Ghosty. Selfie with Ghosty is the hashtag. So take a selfie with Ghosty and we'll put it up there. I just keep him in the couch right there for the show. Linda Miller, thank you. Linda had a lot of great support from her. Rebecca Gardner, another one. May, thank you. Tammy Sifford, Paul Johnson, he's been tweeting like a madman. ever since Saturday night, and he came out to the watch party. So I want to thank Paul. Who else do we have? I think I said Tammy earlier. And, yeah. There's Lynn's. Thank you very much, Lynn's, for all of your support. It's been absolutely wonderful. Joanne Rubino, thank you. There's Linda again. Man, you guys had a really good conversation going on. Scott Latea, thank you. Yeah, he was one of the first people that commented on Saturday night when I did my live on Facebook, and he was offering a lot of support, saying, "Hey, just come back bigger and stronger." It's absolutely right. So thank you, Scott. Go check out his Haunted Stories channel. He's got an interview with me out there, and he's got a lot of interviews out there with a lot of people. Jimmy Cortez, thank you very much. He's always in here. Ether Shadow as well. Thank you very much. He's another one that's out here a lot. Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast, another one to go check out. That is Britt. Thank you, Britt. And let's see, I did mention Diane. Carrie Parrish. Carrie was supposed to come out to the watch party and got in a car accident. Somebody rammed him right in the side. He did get hurt. Broke a couple of ribs and fractured his ankle. So send some love and light his way. Some positive energy. Oh, speaking of which, just thinking of something bad that happened. My friend Ron Stevens, he's the one that did the music for the show. Their family dog passed away today. Been with them since he was born, 12 years. He's basically, Ron's like, "This is my best friend," and passed away this morning, basically in Ron's arms. He was looking him in the eye the whole time, and he passed. So send some love his way too. Who else we got? Kansas Girl. You've been out here before as well. Thank you. Abigail Engel, thank you. Mary Aim, E-H-M, thank you. Samuel Hall, thank you for coming out. And I'm starting to get up a little higher there, so I gotta start missing people. So I think that's about all I can really get in for now. But and Cassandra, okay. So, but anybody that I missed, of course, never trying to offend anybody or offend anybody if I miss you. It's just there's a lot of people that were chatting tonight. Really appreciate everybody, and so that's it. We're going to be on again, of course, next week, 9:30 p.m. every Tuesday night here on Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We get at least 2 videos out per week. Check out the last Ghosts and Legends, which was on Guthrie, Oklahoma. A lot of great haunted locations there. And stay tuned for the next Friday Night Ghost Race, which is not going to be this week. I'm going to be in York, Pennsylvania, the Phenomenology Family Reunion, which is kind of interesting because this will be my first Phenomenology go to the family reunion. But I'll be there for that. So if you're out there, come get a ghosty. Of course, I'll have all the books on hand and everything.
And people also need to be keeping an eye on Facebook. You, Lee, and Chris.
I was just about to get to that.
I'm reading your mind. So
you are. You are.
Yeah.
April 15th. If you are in the Alton, Illinois area, come out to It's Raining Zen. It's at Mineral Springs Mall in downtown Alton. I'm going to be there with Lee Ehrlich and Chris Sutton. We're doing Haunted Tomes. What was it? Haunted Tomes and Reads, I think is what it is. Well, wait, April 15th is what it is the day. Shauna's going to be there as well, of course. So, come on down and, come check us out and what we got. Chris is he's really well known in the area. He's the local shaman. He's always telling different stories and stuff. Lee's a great explorer. I call him a paranormal explorer because that's really what he does. And then, of course, I've got all my books. So, Lee does have his new book too, Master of the Abyss, so he'll be there with that as well. So,
and one last thing.
Yeah.
For people who follow me on mostly Facebook is where I really put the majority of it out.
Lynn Bowling, thank you. She just showed. Lynn Bowling, I just saw her in the chat, and Kara Taylor, thank you. They just showed up in the chat, so I want to make sure.
Yeah, and everybody who has been supporting me on the new book, Walking with Ghosts. We all know I scrapped it. Okay, and I am actually doing something, same title, that is it's very hard for me and it's very frightening. I am pretty much jumping down the edge of the rabbit hole with the book, right? So it should be out. I should have it finished in less than a month, and it will be to Mike. And so Mike, start planning on that because we got to get it out.
All right. Well, Kat Gash has one that she's wanting to put out there too, so I'm gonna be working on 2 at the same time.
Hey Yara.
That's editing, by the way. That's not the stuff that I'm working on myself. In addition.
Exactly. So just be kind when it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not certifiable, but we're actually going to get into what it actually means to walk with ghosts every day of your life. So,
Michelle Hamilton, thank you for coming out. I want to bring Michelle on the show one of these days. She's got her book, Spiritualism in the Lincoln White House. That would be a very, very interesting show.
That will be awesome.
Yeah. So I want to get Michelle out here one of these days.
Yes.
So, and Paul is telling me that Adam Tillery was out here as well. So I'm sorry if I missed Adam. So he's a fantastic artist. We're going to have more Time Chandler Chronicles coming up here very soon. He's in the process of getting married, so giving him some slack.
Yeah, let him a little breathing room.
Yeah. And then Josh Spence, thank you. All right. Well, that's it. I'm going to give shout-outs for the rest of the night if we do this. So, again, thank you, everybody, for showing up, for all the support over the past few days, and for your continued support moving on. This is all of us. You know, this is not just about me, not just about Vanessa or Shana or any of us individually. We're all a team, and you're a part of that team. So, you know, the hashtags, I don't know how many are in here tonight connecting me on Twitter. I do use the Team HRM hashtag from time to time. We're using Selfie with Ghosty right now. I know we've had some other ones, and Shauna's had a few.
I still love mine.
And and then Vanessa's as well. So, so in any case, everybody have a good night. Thank you for all the support, and until next time.
Bye.